What's up, beautiful people? Welcome to the Queen Effect podcast, where we discuss relatable situations that occur in our everyday lives. Our goal is to create a safe space where we can learn, teach, and uplift one another. I'm Shay Monet, the Golden Goddess.
It's your girl Coco.
And it's Madam IJ.
On today's episode, we will be discussing parenting and how to navigate through everyday life while maintaining yourself as an individual and still accomplishing all of your goals.
Y'all, how do y'all not lose yourself while parenting these kids?
It's really hard to not lose yourself while parenting because I feel like we always put ourselves first. I mean, we don't put ourselves first. We put our kids first and we put ourselves last. And a lot of times we end up neglecting our own needs and, what we need to do for ourselves. So it's super easy to get lost. I think that sometimes you just got to take a step back. I don't know if you can necessarily avoid or prevent yourself from losing yourself in parenting. I think it just kind of happens. You just got to pull yourself back out of, whatever it is.
Yeah, I feel like in the beginning of my son's life, I definitely lost myself because I was now readjusting from doing whatever I wanted to do, whenever I wanted to do, still figuring out what it is that I'm doing, to now having to be responsible for this creature that just came out of me that's completely changed my whole way of living, right? And so if you really care about your kids, or I don't know, I don't want to sound insensitive to other people, but if your kids are really like your world, that's all you're going to care about. You're going to, like you said, neglect your health, neglect the way you look. I was looking bummy. I didn't care about, as long as my son was okay, he was fed, he was fine, he making sure he was breathing while he was sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I started to look like I was going through some type of trenches. But as he got older, I started to realize, oh my God, I'm more than just a mom. Like, I'm Carolyn, I'm IJ, and started to get back to what I like to do. But that was a moment of me just like completely losing myself to the new job, which is a great job, but it was a new form of responsibility.
I agree. It's a different experience. It's really a different reality. Going back on what both of you guys said, like your life changes tremendously. You go from just being you, and then like you're having a child when you're a woman and you're pregnant, but it doesn't really hit until the baby is here, where you have to make adjustments and you have to be like, okay, well, this is what I used to do, but now I have a whole being that I have to take care of. It's several times for me, like when I had my son, it was like I had to make adjustments. And sometimes I used to forget all the time, like, wait, okay, did I eat? Okay, he got to eat. It's just a different lifestyle. And you're going to go through being there for your child 100%, not really upkeeping with your appearance as a woman. As women, we're supposed to be, presentable or always be on our stuff and look the part. But who is to say what a mom's supposed to look like, So it's like, for me, I didn't care like how I look. And I think, to me, that was the most important part, me putting my child first. But then as I got older, because I had Royal when I was younger, as I got older, then I started to be like, okay, I can do this. I can take care of him and still make sure I look okay, or I tap into myself to not lose myself. So that's how I feel about that.
When I looked in the mirror one day and I was like, this is not how we stepping out today. Like this. Is this how I've been moving? Of course, I'll get dressed up for certain occasions, but we all know when we were finding ourselves when we were young, before we had kids, how much more expressive we was with our looks, and just the way we present ourselves to the world. So when I had that moment of realization, like, and I think maybe when, for me, I don't know about you guys, but like when he got a little older, I was able to like pull back a little bit and breathe.
I think society also has like placed this image in our heads as to what we should look like or how we should carry ourselves or how we should move. Once you become a mother, we all go through that moment of like, we just be looking raggedy as hell. I'm be honest, if y'all can see us right now while we recording, we look like mamas, okay? We just not with it. But, for me, I I struggled with are you gonna wear that? Oh, like I thought I was cute, but oh girl, your legs too long for that. Those shorts too short, or oh, you're somebody's mom. You shouldn't dress like that. You should cover yourself up more, or you should look a certain way. And I'm the type of person, I value people's opinions so much that I kind of allowed it to get in my head. I won't really blame me keeping my appearance up on my kids. I think for me it was just like a confusion, like, oh, I don't want to look this way and people think I'm a bad mom, or I don't want to carry myself this way. And, I have this daughter who knows absolutely nothing about life, but is going to somehow form an opinion on me because my shorts are short. People will have you believing like the craziest things. So you begin to conform almost and give people what you feel like they want to see. Like, I feel like when you're a mom and you have young kids, back in the day, it was like, you barefoot and you at home taking care of the household. Like that's what you're known to do. You're not stepping out. You're not strutting. You're not gaining all of the attention that you was gaining before because you're a mom. So now it's time for you to just kind of sit down and disappear. I don't know if that's ever how y'all felt, but I know in the beginning of parenting for me, that's what it felt like. Like, okay, you can't shine so bright, or you can't be so attractive or so catchy because you're a mom now. What are you doing? Sit down. I feel like I quickly got over that. Now, in like the day-to-day doctor's appointments and school and sports and things of that sort, sometimes you just be like, look, I'm tired and y'all just gonna get what y'all get. Like, I'm going to the grocery store, I got my bonnet on, I didn't have time to do my hair, but you know what? My Leah, Adonis, Talisa, and Antonio, they look good. I put all of my energy into making sure that they look good and that they're okay. So I don't know. I feel like society has a lot to do with the way that we carry ourselves sometimes as a mom.
Yeah, I agree with you when it comes to that. As far as like the dressing and stuff, for me, it was like that too. Like I never really, well, nobody never really told me like stuff like that, but I will always like before I get dressed to take Royal to his appointments or anything, I'll be like, well, I'm gonna wear this, and then I'll be like, wait a minute, you know what I'm saying? Let me change it. Maybe because of how my parents or my grandmother raised their kids, that affected me in so many ways too. So I kind of like changed the dynamics of how I dressed and everything, but
like being yourself, still maintaining that individuality has nothing to do with you being a mom. It has nothing to do with parenting. Your parenting is a part of you. That's a part of your story. It's not just your story. You started that chapter of your life. You know what I'm saying? That's the author of that life. So when you keep that in mind, you're still gonna come out here looking like a boss bee, and you're still gonna have your bad days like we all do, and it has nothing to do with parenting at all. And I can't be telling my kids like, when you go out there, you're representing me, and I'm looking crazy. I'm representing myself too. I'm representing my family too.
right.
So that's even more reason to step out like I got some sense. But we do lose ourselves in the beginning because all you care about is, are they okay? I don't want to look like a bad mom. I don't want to be a bad mom. Depending on what you went through as a kid, you don't want to do the same thing that your mom did. Like, it's just so much pressure from all areas, and you're just trying to do your best. There's no handbook. People telling you how you should move, but there's no handbook. So it's a lot of pressure.
I just want to highlight what you just said. It stood out to me. And I don't know if our listeners caught it or not, but I'm going to run it back and highlight it for you younger mothers out there. Being a mom is not your identity. You as an individual is what your identity is. And being a mother became a part of that. So don't think that, oh, I'm a mom and that's it. No, who were you before you became a mom? What were the goals and the aspirations that you had set before you became a mom? One of my biggest conversations that I have with a lot of people is they feel like, once you become a parent, that's it. Your dreams are over with. There's certain things that you can't do, especially when you have multiple kids. For those of you who don't know, I have 4 children and I'm a force that can't be stopped. But I know that a lot of people with 4 or 5 kids, sometimes even 3 kids, feel like, oh, well, I can't accomplish this goal, or I can't make this happen because I have my kids. Stop thinking like that. Your kids don't stop your goals. Your kids don't stop your dreams. Things may slow down a little bit. You may have to change course or change your direction, but you can definitely still make it happen. You just have to tap into who you really are and just be determined and disciplined and motivated. And you can definitely make your dreams come true. Parenting does not stop anything. So I want for those of you who think like that to go ahead and just throw that out of your mind, like throw it out your head, because that's the furthest away from the truth.
Mm-hmm.
I think you have a good point there, Shay, where you talked about parenting don't stop anything. I feel like that should be your biggest motivation because your goal, but you're setting an example for your children as well. You know, for them to learn when they do become of age and toddlers, they see mommy working hard. They see mommy, yeah, mommy makes time for us. She's still showing up at our, recitals and practices, but she's still doing what she needs to do to make sure we're okay. So that is the major plus, and a lot of women takes time, younger women, it takes time to get there. For me, it took me time to get there because right after I had my child, I didn't separate that dynamics, so it's like once I got older, I'm like, I can still do it and raise him, and he sees what I'm doing and it influences him to do well in school or want to do the things that I've done, so that was a good point.
That's why I said when my son got a little older, was able to do certain things for himself. That's when the reality came for me, because it's like, I'm not just a mom, right? He's also not just my child. He has his own life. And my goal as a parent is to help bring him up so that when he's living his life, by the grace of God, all the good nuggets I've, placed in his mind and his spirit and his heart, he'll be able to go on and do what he needs to do to be the best that he can be. And so we have to maintain that individualism for ourselves as well. That's why I said nothing to do with you being a parent. Yes, be the best parent that you can be. Yes, hopefully, some of the shit you went through as a kid, you're making sure that your children are also experiencing that same shit, and whatever the case may be for you when it comes to your parenting, just you're doing your best. But you need to also make sure that you're okay, because if you're not okay, how are you going to be a good parent for your kids?
Exactly.
I'm going through, like, y'all, when I'm going through things that are really bothering me or is going to bring me down, I've learned through my experience and really through my own experience with him when I react, and he's just this innocent person coming into something that's going on with me. I let him know, like, hey, I'm not having a good day, depending on how he can handle my reality, I'll tell him what it is as simple as I can. And because they need to be emotionally mature enough too to know why you're reacting that way, because we're gonna have our bad days. But I just want to, as a parent, I'm gonna have my own days. My life, son. This is what I'm going through, and that's a different thing. But I'm just saying, I hope y'all catching what I'm throwing.
No, but it's important though. Like, it's definitely important to be able to communicate with our children. Like when we were growing up, it was like children are to be seen and not heard. Don't ask questions because I said so and it is what it is. And I just feel like, we should definitely open up and communicate and explain those things to our children. And the biggest thing is apologize when we have done something that was wrong, when we have reacted out of a way that maybe we could have reacted differently. Really sitting them down and being able to take accountability as parents and saying, baby, I'm sorry. Maybe I should not have done this, or I was wrong. Accepting that accountability, because as parents, sometimes we are wrong. Okay. And just explain it to them. Okay, this is why you're in trouble. And really just talking to them so that they can understand exactly what's going on. I know that I had moments as a child where, I was like emotional and I was crying and I could not understand why I was getting in trouble or why I was getting yelled at. And I couldn't even really ask why, because that was considered a form of disrespect.
Yep.
Me and my kids, some people feel like, oh, you let them talk too much. They're not disrespectful. They don't really talk back, but I do give them the space to be up. Mommy, I don't understand. Why am I getting in trouble? I don't understand. Why am I being punished? And I'm okay with sitting down, having that conversation with them, because when they become adults, they're going to be able to express how they're feeling and process why things are happening in life the way that they're happening in life. I feel like as adults, we had to figure a lot of that shit out. Like,
Mhm.
okay, well, I mean, I understand now 10 years later why I got in trouble. But in that moment as a child, my feelings just felt hurt and I felt devastated because I didn't understand. So I think that's like very important, just communicating with them and giving them that space to be individuals and to actually understand what's going on.
Mhm.
We can't shelter them forever. So
I feel like you mentioned something of how how we were raised and how we're trying to raise our kids now, and in agreement to just communication. I feel like that sets the a different dynamics between you and your child, where even when you discipline them or they're reprimanded for something that they did, they can open up to you and really express to you how you made them feel. And a lot of times, what Carolyn said, I do that with Royal as well. Like if I'm not having a good day, or I'm just not feeling it, you have to as a parent let your children know, because one thing about it, kids pick up on our energy. They pick up on how we're feeling, and sometimes the way we're feeling, if we're having a not so good day, it can affect them. It can affect, when they're going to school, how they, get through their day, because they're so worried about, well, what's wrong with mommy, or I don't know what's going on. One thing I tell Royal, he has it honest. He always say, mommy, and are you okay? And what's wrong? But I never give him more than he can handle, because he's just a child,
Yep.
So I put it in a perspective where he can understand and let him know, don't worry about this. I want you to focus on being a child. Mommy's going to be okay. Even on my darkest days, I got to cover it up. I got to wipe my eyes, whatever I got to do for him not to see that side. It has been some moments where he did see that side, and he comforts me in so many ways. Children, we love our kids, but sometimes when they getting on your nerves, you just be like, fuck them kids. They're gonna be bad. They're gonna do things, and you can have the best child, but they're still gonna try you. So going back to what Shay said, they are gonna try you, but going back to what she said, like, even if I'm gonna punish you or you're gonna be, in trouble, you can ask questions and I'll let you know why. That way, when they get older, they just appreciate you more and appreciate, like, oh, my mom or my dad allowed me to voice my opinion without being disrespectful.
Sure. Like with my son, we have this relationship where, he's like, I'm his best friend. He's my best friend too. But like I always tell him, when he kind of be talking a little too funny, I'm your mama first. You
Mhm.
better, I'm not your age mate, But we do have that relationship where, and it's because that's what I needed. So even when he just really just tried it, and I had to really get in the ass for whatever it is that he did. I do be having moments like, dang, I didn't have to react that way, because I'm reflecting on how I reacted. Some situation, yes, he deserved that little flame. He caused that fire. It's unfortunate for him, for me too, but other times it's like, okay, I didn't have to react that way. And then I'll go down, I'll apologize to him about it. We'll talk about it. I'll let him. I want him to understand why, like Shay said, and like you said too, Coco, I want to let you know why it is I reacted that way. And I'm also acknowledging that I shouldn't have done it this way. I'm acknowledging your feelings, and we're both with each other at that moment. Because to me, parenting is a beautiful thing, because you're learning about yourself. You're really learning about yourself. It's not just about your children. You're really learning about yourself, and you're really raising the next generation of great people. I don't care how the world looks at my child. My child is the best child that there is. And I'm going to make sure my child feels that way. And if my child feels that way and moves that way, then I did my job. And I'm proud of it. It just takes a lot out of you. And that's why you tend to lose yourself, because there's a lot of shit that you gotta handle, and you're still trying to get your own stuff together. Even if your stuff is together, it's gonna always be a lot, because you're a lot too, you know?
I feel like, there's no right or wrong way to parent. I feel like as long as you're trying and I mean, well, I ain't gonna say there's no wrong way to parent, but as long as you're trying and you're giving your best and you're giving your all, that's all that matters.
Mhm.
Just to switch gears a little bit, I want to dig into the co-parenting aspect of parenting because a lot of us are acting as single parents. We won't be gender specific, but single parents. And I do truly
Mhm.
believe that one of the biggest problems that we're having in raising our children is that we've gotten so far away from the theme of it takes a village. And it really truly does take a village. I do believe that when your children can see you co-parenting amicably, getting along, laughing, joking, I'm not saying that y'all have to be the best of friends or pretend to be in a great space or whatever, but just interacting respectfully in front of your children, it gives them a different outlook on life in the way that things should be. I'm really big on family. Family, there's nothing more important in this world than me to than there's nothing more important than family to me. Tripped off my words, but I'm really big on that. And I feel like when your children can see you interacting with their father or their mother respectfully, then they now know how to handle the opposite sex in their lives. And then they can see, like, okay, this is how I'm supposed to be treated and talked to and respected. When they see arguing and just toxic bullshit all the time, they're going to recreate that. They're going to go to school, they're going to be angry, they're going to be yelling at people, they're not going to be so nice, they may be bullies. But when all they see is that love and that affection, that's what they're going to exude. They're going to be loving, they're going to be uplifting to their kids. So just making sure that we can maintain like a positive co-parenting ship is super, super important when it comes to parenting.
I totally agree, girl, because me and my son's father is not together, but you couldn't tell us that we're not family, and my son feels that way. It's very important because you didn't do this by yourself. Your child has two sides. They have your side and they have his side. For the sake of the child, it'll be best if they're able to know both sides just as much as the other side, and they can form their own opinion on whatever it is about that family. But for the child's sake, they should be able to have that safe, loving space from both sides. They could be with you and your family and be safe and taken care of and be nurtured the way they need to be, or they can be on the other parent side and have that same experience. Because there's a lot of people that'll be like, oh, I'm closer to my mother and my father's side than the other side. That's good. Because like you said, it does take a village to raise a child. And the more people you have around your child that cares about your child, that loves your child, that want nothing but the best for your child, that will feed your child, that will clothe your child, you feel more comfortable. The same way you pray over your kids and you feel that feeling of like comfort, to also have that on earth with the family and friends around you when it comes to your kid. Like, why wouldn't you want that?
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
I feel like it is your goal to have a healthy co-parenting relationship. There are different cases, maybe that, for some that don't allow you to do that. But if both parents are present and in a good state of mind, it's like put your differences to the side and raise your child the proper way. And in some cases, you have two people can't co-parent. It just don't work. But I feel like if that's the case, then you can talk to, the other family and work something out so that your child knows both parts, and know both parts. So that's how I feel about that.
But what about folks that, I talk to some people, then they'll ask me like random questions about like, how can I say this? They'll ask me questions in regards to how I'm doing certain things when it comes to co-parenting, like who has your child more, or who does this, or what are they doing about it? Do they talk to the teacher too? And when I start to communicate with other people that are co-parenting, I realize the significance of those questions, because a lot of people don't have positive co-parenting. It's toxic as fuck, and it's like they're enemies. And then these kids are in the middle of it, and I'd be like, wow, I don't have to deal with any of that. I have my own problems, but my God, y'all making it seem like it's nothing. And it really isn't that much, because it's not affecting what we have going on for our kid. So that's just touching on how co-parenting is important and how it just needs to be something that we cherish for the sake of our kids, because nobody deserves that type of toxic environment.
Let me tell you, and like I'm one of those people who, God has a funny way of dealing with me. Like, I go through a lot of things so that I'm able to speak on it. I'm one of those people who have experienced the toxic co-parenting with my older two kids' father, number one, and then number two, even being the step parent with my ex-husband situation. His situation was very toxic, a toxic co-parentingship with my stepchild. And then I am blessed enough to be able to have a healthy co-parentship with my ex-husband where we can get along and we can say, hey, the kids need this, the kids need that, and for it to be able to work out. So I listen, it's really sad and it's really unfortunate when you can't communicate, because that definitely does trickle down to your children. And it makes it really hard for you to be able to get along with one another and to keep your eye on a common goal, which is the child. So for those of you out there who are in a toxic co-parentship, y'all, please get it together for those babies, because it's not about y'all. It's about them. They need you more than you could ever realize. And I promise you, it's affecting them in ways that you won't even realize or see until it's too late, until they become adults and now they're parenting and they're repeating those bad toxic traits. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Like, those of y'all who are co-parenting in a positive, good way, keep up the good work. Keep showing your kids that love and the affection and the way it's supposed to be done. But those of y'all who don't have it together, please get it together for those babies.
Because like you said, a lot of us are dealing with childhood trauma. Okay, let's just be for real. And I don't know how your mom and your daddy was. I don't know what you went through, but I know for the most part, a lot of them are just trying their best. In hell, they just doing what they know. Okay. And when you get older and you have these conversations with your parents, I know for me anyway, when my father was still around, there was a time that I needed to go over a certain scenario that obviously had been bothering me for a while. He didn't know what I was talking about. I was like, I know I did not just make this up. I have been dealing with this. I finally realized where it came from, where it stemmed from, and I just want to heal it. And, whether he genuinely couldn't remember or not, his claims were he didn't know what I was talking about. And I'm an adult now, so I've been holding that for all these years, and it was a passing memory for you. So as parents, it's important that we are mindful of how we're treating our children, or mindful of how they're reacting, because sometimes all of us, old, young, we overreact and we take things wrong. You need to be able to catch those moments too and correct it. Make sure that you understand what they're feeling and what they're thinking, because they're holding on to that and they become adults, and it's reliving out in their adulthood, and it's crazy because at your big age, this is still affecting you, and it's because it's never been dealt with. So, okay, enough of that. But yeah, guys, this was a great conversation. I really do think that we do need to have a part 2, because this is a lot. What y'all think?
Yeah.
I think we're gonna have a part 2, part 3, part 4. Like, it's gonna get real. It's definitely gonna get real.
Love it.
We hope that you all have enjoyed today's episode. Thanks for tuning in to the Queen Effect podcast, and we will catch you on the next episode. Follow us on our social media platforms. You can find us on IG and Twitter under @TheQueenEffect, as well as Facebook and YouTube under The Queen Effect. If there's a specific topic you want us to cover or want to send in an anonymous question for our Dear Sis segment, email us at thequeeneffect@gmail.com.